Welcome back. As always, I'm Ross.
And I'm still Gerry.
And this is Sky Management. And today we want to talk to you about the air filters in your heat and air unit.
Yeah, more importantly, how to change those air filters in various styles of air handlers.
Air filters come in different shapes and sizes, so you want to make sure that you have the right size for your unit. And they come in what is called a MERV rating, and Gerry's going to talk to you about MERVs.
Hi, MERV. MERV, in more specific terms, it actually is the minimum efficiency reporting value, is the MERV acronym, and they basically rate from 1 to 20. And what you'll find is the higher the MERV rating, typically the more expensive it is, because the higher the MERV is, the more particulates that filter will block. So for a standard apartment, we might look for a MERV rating around 3 to 5. If you're looking for your home, if you've got bad allergies or pets, you might be looking closer to like 15 or 16.
So let's go ahead and show you how to change the filter in your unit. Right now we're in an apartment that has a pretty typical apartment style unit where there is no return ducts. All of the return air is just pulled directly into the unit through this vent here. In this case, the filter is, you can see it just standing here, so it's easy to get to. These are real easy to change. This is a Trane unit. It'll have this cover on the front, and to remove the cover, you just flip these little tabs open and the cover pops off. Shows you your filter right there. You just slide one filter out, and you need to make sure you're putting the same size filter back in. This particular one is a 20 by 20 by 1, and they're measured in inches, 20 wide, 20 tall, by 1 deep. Now, there is a little arrow on these that shows which way the air is supposed to go. Since they go on the intakes, so the air is going into the unit, so we want the air going up in this case. And we'll slide it back in where the old one came out. And we can put the cover back on. To hold it in there, just pop the cover back on and flip these little tabs back down to hold it in. And this one's good to go.
Here we have a more traditional home style system. This happens to be a Lennox system. These will have air filters that are on the front of the air handler system, where it has the ductwork that draws the air up and underneath and through the system. So if you come closer, these typically have a cover on the front. This one just pops off. Some of them have some screws that you have to unscrew, and it'll expose the air filter in here. Now this is a larger sized air filter for a large size unit. This is a big home. So this is a 20 by 26 by 5, which is an enormous air filter. So you would pull this out like this. This one is black because it actually has carbon on that. It's not that it's dirty. So you pull this out and then make sure that you have an adequate replacement unit like this one here, which you will then be able to remove. Now again, with the carbon filters, you want to make sure that you got the airflow correctly. This is the airflow is going this way. Typically the carbon is at the back side. So the airflow is coming from underneath and going in there. And you'll insert the new filter, as so, making sure it gets all the way in there. Sometimes it can get a little tricky. And then you want to make sure your cover is put back securely in place with no gaps. And that's how you can change out its traditional home style filter. This is another type of air handler system that we have used before in some of our units. This is called a mini split. So you will see these. Each one of these has an individual air filter built into it. Some of them have two, like this one does. If you come a little closer, I'll show you how you have to clean those. So these do not have ones you replace, they have ones you clean. On the side, there's usually tabs that will hinge this up. And then there will be air filters. These are actually air filters in here because it draws in from the top and blows out down here. So you'll lift up on a tab to release it and pull it out like this. And then we go over to the sink. And these are simple just to wash out in your sink. You can get a sprayer, just spray them off. Make sure they stay all clean. If you want to scrub them, just be careful so that you don't bend any of the little parts in there. And just clean those off in the sink, and you can either just let these dry, or just by putting them back in there, they'll dry themselves pretty quick. So that's the easy way to take care of those.
This is another style. If your home has ductwork for the return air, so if you have multiple returns that all go back to the unit, they'll come in a duct, and so the filter will slide in from the side. There's a cover over the top of the filter here, and it's held in by, this one is clips on the sides. Sometimes there's the little screws on the sides to remove this panel. So pop those clips in, remove the panel. These can be a little tricky to get out sometimes because it's a real small slot, and you might kind of tear up the filter getting it out. Just wiggle it around a little.
We'll also mention that it's a lot easier to do this when the system itself is actually off. If the system is on, it will be sucking that filter up in there, making this increasingly difficult to do.
Okay, we got our old filter out. So you take your new air filter and you look for the airflow. You want the airflow going up. You'll slide it in. You have to kind of wiggle it around to get it in there. You'll take your cover. You put your cover back on. You should be good to go.
It's kind of bad lighting here, but I wanted to just take a brief second to show you a couple of these filters. This is a filter that we just pulled out of a unit. A good way to tell if it's really dirty or dirty enough to change is if you can still see light through the filter. Now this one here, as you can see, I've got light. It's pretty dark. If you've got a brand new filter, you can see quite a bit of light through it. And so the difference is pretty considerable. This one definitely needs to get changed because you can't hardly see the light through this unit. And that's one good way to tell how dirty these filters really are.
We want to recommend that you change your filter out at least twice a year, sometimes more depending on if you have pets or if there are a lot of people living in your house or apartment, then you can have to change them more often. Twice a year is the bare minimum that we would recommend doing this.
Yeah, some of those filters require every 30 days. Those are usually the real cheap air filters. You can buy washable filters and you can do it yourself at home. Typically the higher MERV ratings or the better quality filters you can get by a little bit longer when you do that. So.
We hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next time.